When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot.
Donald Trump speaking as he leaves for New Jersey, having pled not guilty to criminal charges at a federal courtroom in Washington, D.C.
The Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day.
Jack Smith's indictment charges 1 obstruction and 3 conspiracy counts related to what it claims was a broad effort to overturn the 2020 election based on dishonesty, fraud, and deceit.
It is alleging basically that Trump provided some sort of disinformation campaign, that he knew that the election was not stolen.
The indictment concedes that Mr. Trump, quote, had a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and even to claim falsely that there'd been outcome determinative fraud during the election and that he had won. In other words, Mr. Trump can lie about the election all he wants, but the indictment says he broke the law the moment he acted on those lies.
It's the first time that a sitting president is attacking a political opponent on First Amendment grounds and basically making a criminal to state your position.
Those actions include lobbying state officials to hunt for voter fraud, working with his conspirators to stand up substitute electors in 7 states, and piling pressure on the vice president to not certify the 2020 election.
We're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help, we're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
For my part, I want people to know that I had no right to overturn the election, and that what the president maintained that day, and frankly has said over and over again over the last 2.5 years, is completely false. And it's contrary to what our Constitution and the laws of this country provide.
This is a remarkably broad theory of conspiracy to defraud the United States, and one with troubling implications far beyond Mr. Trump. Mr. Smith's theory seems to be that if a president and his so-called co-conspirators are lying, and then they act on that lie, they are defrauding the United States.
Sadly, the president was surrounded by a group of crackpot lawyers that kept telling him what his itching ears wanted to hear.
Mr. Pence's view is seconded by Mr. Trump's then Attorney General, Bill Barr.
He would search for a lawyer who would give him the advice he wanted.
Donald Trump now faces a staggering 78 state and federal criminal counts. That includes the 4 latest counts in Washington, 34 related to hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels in New York, and 40 in Florida, related to the ongoing case over classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, for which Mr. Trump pled not guilty at a court in Miami in June. But it's this latest indictment that, purely by means of resurfacing what happened on January 6th, will taint the 2024 election campaign. Remember, Democrats want Mr. Trump to be the Republican nominee, and Mr. Smith, whether he intends it or not, is making that outcome more likely.
It comes on the heels of unbelievable allegations against Mr. Biden and his son, as well as the fact that Donald Trump is leading in the polls right now.
Going forward, we're likely to end up with an election campaign that floats between the courtroom and rallies. And that also means a media coverage that will likely drown out other Republican hopefuls from the race.
There's a double standard here, without a doubt, and it's not coincidental.
This is not political. This is judicial.
I don't think it's going to be a successful case. I think it's very weak, and I think the American public knows the motivations behind this.
You didn't listen to me. I am above the law.